Hi guys, this is Jesse from the Backwalk. Welcome to this new Dual Universe pre-alpha gameplay tutorial. This time we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about the basic right management system that will be available in pre-alpha. That is a simplified version of the full-fledged RDMS. We're going to talk about outpost building, basically the thing you see in front of me now. And we're going to talk about territory management. So about Outpost, welcome to this little piece of construction that we have made in the middle of the North Pole. This is actually to show you that contrary to what we have mostly shown so far, you can do much more than just spaceships. You can build wonderful interiors that includes all sorts of what we call decorative elements, so these guys here, which are actually doing nothing special. They are just here to allow you to create some nice setup and flesh out an interior that looks like something you really want. So just if I go into build mode and I select the first tool, I'm using my jetpack anyway. So if I just go into build mode, as I said, you can see that if I recast those different elements, they are all, including the carpets, they are all elements that you can deploy. If you want to see the set of things you could possibly deploy, you can go in your inventory, deselect all here, so like that, and select decorative units, and you will see everything that we have so far available in the game, so including paintings, chairs, and so on and so on. You cannot yet sit in the chairs, but that's gonna come. So we're working on that, obviously, and so that's really cool. And let me just go a little bit, take some altitude, so you get a nice view of this outpost. Let me just go down now on the ground, leaving build mode, and get close to this force field barrier, which is controlled by this button. So if I press the button, the barrier goes away. That's actually a good way to start discussing right management inside your construct. So suppose I want to grant access to this button to a few friends of mine. The way to do it is just to right click on the element and go into the set permission list menu. That will open a window where I can type in basically the names of my friends, John, Mary, and Bob, that will actually have an explicit access to this particular button. So that's a very simplified version of the RDMS. You can also here type all, which means that everybody is going to be able to access this particular button. If you don't type anything, it will mean that you have no particular setup for this element, and so by default it will grant access only to you. Or actually there's another thing that can happen, which is that if you define the permission list for the core unit of this construct, then anything you put in the core unit will apply to every single element inside your construct, unless you redefine that permission list for any particular element. So the core unit is the default. It will also set the rights for editing the construct, like who has the right to put some voxels, deploy some elements, and so forth. So the core unit is a central place, it acts as a default, but you can override every single element. Like for example this cockpit here, if I want, I can go here and set permission list so that I can say who has the right to enter the cockpit, therefore who has the right to fly this construct, and so on. So that's a very simple mechanism, but it actually works at the stage of pre-alpha to get your friends to share your particular outpost construct and so on in the game. So let's have a look now at the next part, which is territory management. So territory management works with the notion of deploying territory units. So territory unit is deployable with tool number 3. Here you can see I've selected it here. And the territory unit will actually grant you access and ownership over a tile that you can see here in this enhanced HUD. And if I deploy the territory here, for example, then the corresponding area of the tile is now attributed to me, which you can check by pressing F4, accessing the map, my location, zooming in, and you see that this green tile is mine. Actually, just next to me there is a red tile that is belonging to somebody else, and so we are going to be able to see what is the consequence of this in terms of, for example, editing the terrain. So if I just go on the ground here, I can edit the terrain on my territory without any restriction. But if I activate now enhanced view, pressing V, I will actually be able to see the different boundaries of the territories. So this is triggered by pressing V, and when I cross the border, as you can see here, going to the next territory, which is not mine, you see the territory unit over there. Then if I want to dig in the ground, it's not possible anymore. So the fact that somebody has claimed this territory allows this person to be able to dictate who has the right to dig. And actually, if I wanted to deploy a particular core unit, I will also be forbidden to do so because of the territory control that is given by the territory unit over there. So now if I go to my territory unit, back here, no restrictions apply. And also if I interact with the territory unit itself, I can right click, and as with other elements like the core unit or the buttons that we saw before, I can set a permission list that will grant access to certain particular players, Bob, Mary, and so on, or all players if I want to grant access to everyone, or just myself, to dictate who has the right to edit the terrain, that is basically mining, and who has the right to build stuff in this particular tile. So this is very useful. And so if you want to actually secure a particular land for yourself, I would recommend to deploy a territory unit, which is going to be a very expensive unit in the final game. So we don't want people to immediately colonize the whole planet and put territory tiles everywhere. So it's going to be a strategic resource that will require thinking over where you deploy them and why you deploy them. But in the pre-alpha, it's going to be pretty easy if you want to try this feature and help us to debug it and see how it works. The other thing I wanted to show you is I started to use it just a moment before, is the enhanced HUD, which you trigger with pressure on V. I'm going to go in God mode now. Flying above this outpost. The interesting thing with the enhanced HUD mode is that you see the territory tile, so that could be very useful to help you figure out where you are in terms of territory positioning. And you can also see these waypoints over there, which are actually other planets inside the system. So you see the distance in stellar units, which are a particular unit we use in the game. And you see that those planets are here, there are another planet here, there's another here, another here, another. So that's actually a way for you to set destinations in your exploration of the solar system, so that you can actually discover new planets. So that's about it related to territory, outpost building, decorative elements, and basic right management. I hope you liked it, and see you soon for the next tutorial.